Welcome back, everybody. Just Mike here. I want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. And for a Merry Christmas to me, subscribe because it's free. And give me a thumbs up if you appreciate this channel. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, I have a clock to work on, and this clock is considered, or the name of the brand is a New England Clock Company. On these clocks, what's unique about them, you can get them for a reasonable price. Don't believe what you see on eBay. Unless you're desperate for a clock of this nature, I wouldn't actually pay for them. But sometimes you can contact them and, let's say, get a better price. Anyway, these clocks normally are what I consider slap bam together, is they have staple holes in it and that kind of stuff. And that's the unique part about their type of building. They do make some very nice clocks. They have a grandfather clock that I can't even touch the price on that if I wanted to. And they do have a few other nice clocks, not that many, but a few other nice clocks. Has Westminster and that kind of stuff. The clock I have this time is what I consider, it's a unique clock because you can decorate it with shrubbery, with poinsettia leaves, fake ones. Anyway, let me show you this clock. So this is the clock I have. Like I say, it's kind of unique. This is normal for their clocks, I guess we'll say. Usually on the back it'll say the date that the clock was made. Down below here they usually have 3 or 4 holes, and that's so you can pop fake flowers in there and we'll say make it your own. As you can see, this thing is totally filthy. It's all open on the top, and so it continuously gets dust. I'm not sure why it's open on the top. They usually seal them in halfway decent, except where the pendulum goes in. And this looks like it's out in the shop. It looks like, to me, metal dust, and of course the oiliness. But we're going to clean all that up. When I got this through GW, and when they sent it, they left the pendulum hanging on this clock. So the spring wire here was smashed up and bent because the pendulum in shipping kept beating up inside. This here is the pendulum. And as you can see, I have damage now because this pendulum was, besides the clock smashing it, was twisting its way out of this brass, and now I'm going to have to repair that as well. It's nice to get the pendulums with the clock. Not saying that they usually need anything special, because this is just a lightweight. I would say you could even use a battery movement pendulum if you had the right length. I see this is about ready to fall off, but let me get my tape measure out. And we're at, let's just say, 8 3/4 inches from the top to the bottom. So if you have to get your own pendulum because your clock didn't have one, that gives you an idea. Spring wire, sometimes people ask me what size those are. It's actually kind of like all one piece. When I get it out, we'll give a measurement of that as well. So to remove it, first you have to remove the hands. I see the nut's missing on this hand. I'm surprised it stayed on. The hour hand is just wedged on there. You can see the cracks, so in case it's too loose you could squish this together a little bit to tighten it up. And to get this movement out, you have to remove this nut and this nut, and it normally takes a tool, but you can use the needle nose pliers. Set it in the two grooves, unless you have a great big screwdriver, and start turning it. In fact, let's just use this size screwdriver and cock it in there. So that would be one of the nuts. You can see the threads on there. And then that's the same with around the hand. Now to get the last one off, yes, you should hold on to the movement. Now you should be able to take out the movement. Let's see. On the back of the clock it says New England Clock Company. I don't see a date unless that's it, but I can't see it that well. Let's see if you can see it better. When I was talking about them slap bamming staples in, there's a proof. It, to me, is kind of tacky, but then again, that's part of what they do. The other thing is they usually have these for decoration, which adds to it. I like the idea that they put those in so you can put your fake flowers or whatever you want in there. I'll be taking this dial off. I see three of the nails are starting to come out. I'll take them all out so that way I can wax this whole clock. And I should be able to clean this. Obviously I'm not going to throw it in the dishwasher because that might destroy it. But I think this has a finish over it. But just the same, I wouldn't get carried away with trying to clean it. I would clean it though. Back to the movement. It's got this cardboard here. It looks like at one time this was glued on there. But that didn't stay. Anyway, I see 4 places there. What's that go to? Looking inside here, it looks to me like it has E-clips. So let's see if I can get them pulled off of there. It's one. So dirty it's hard to see which side to pull it off from. That's 2. And the third one's right over here. So now I should pull this, be able to pull this off of here. And like I say, it's really nasty from, like I say, to me it looks like metal shavings, like this is out in a metal shop or something. So definitely we're going to clean all this off of here before I get started, as in putting it in the, that's trying to run. I wound it up a little bit, I will admit. And it, just in case you're wondering, it takes a number 4 key. What's the number 4? Little loose actually. Number 2 won't fit. Let's check out a number 3. And there's a number 3. Number 3 fits perfectly. You want a little play, but not very much. If you have too much play, you're going to start rounding off the corners and eventually wear this out to where you have to file it down to fit the next number down, so that way you wouldn't have to worry about changing that. So here it's got a pin to hold that in. You never know which way to turn it. There we go, it happened to come out. Now you can pull that out of here. Now as how we have it out, let's give a measurement. And I'm going to let you see this in case you're going to try to just change this and get it bent into that. So I see 1 1/4 for just the spring part. This looks like it goes to 3/8, 3 3/8. So the first thing I need to do is wind this down now that I've wound it up. So let me get my tool and see if I have one small enough to fit that. And I do, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind it up and use my finger and hold this clicker out of the way. I'll wind it up, and now I can let it down. So we have that down. Before I go any further, let's take pictures of what we see. And so we'll be taking these 4 nuts off after we take pictures and lift this up, and we'll probably take, well, I don't think you have to take any more pictures. There's not really hardly anything in here. And the reason why is that's all this clock does is tick. Sometimes you wonder how this clock ever ran when you see how dirty they usually are. I'm going to have to check that out, see, it should just pop right up. Oh, there might be a, it says so dirty. There's probably a E-clip on here too. There is I don't really see a hole to get into it, but I might be getting it off now maybe. Well, I got to go search for it. So there I actually found this, we'll call it E-clip. That's kind of what it looks like, but a little bit stranger. Anyway, we found that in no man's land, so we're lucky there. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. It's kind of unique. So I'm guessing we're ready to take the nuts off and take this thing apart. It only has two gears here that just set here. That's another thing about these movements. The New England has very small ends on the gear to drop into the pivots, so you have to be really careful when you're putting it back in here. This is struggling to, there we go, to get it out. Like I say, it's really dirty. The spring actually has some, feels like it's got some decent oil on it. It is darkened from the oil, but the spring is so light it's no big deal taking it out. No matter what, you should be wearing glasses. That's just part of a safety thing. But it's actually opened pretty good, so I'll just give this a cleaning, try to get the old oil off of there, and I'll put a new heavier weight oil back on before I put it together. So let me get all these washed up in Dawn dishwash soap so I can get them into my ultrasonic cleaner and let them do the extra job. Mention, because I will admit this fell off as I was once I took it out of the box, And this here's a cover that goes over the movement, so that's why the top board isn't on the clock box itself. It's already covered. And yeah, we need to clean that. Anyway, on the back here, when I use the magnifying glass, it says the New England Clock Company, Farmington, I'm going to guess Connecticut, CONN dot, and it's slash USA. Then it says made in Germany, no jewels, unadjustable. These two pieces are plastic. Originally I thought that was metal, but it's not. It's got a dimple or groove, or they call that right there, so that way it fits up like it's supposed to. So that way it's a sealed box, and it looks to me someone tried melting it, could have been the company, to get the lid to stay on. Or the back, I should say. So I do have a few holes that I can get the toothpick in. There's a few that it's about the size or smaller than the end of my toothpick. So I'm going to try my best to get what I can, and what I can't, all I gotta say is I just cross my fingers and hope that it's gonna be okay. I know this one here where the winder was really bad, but I'm sure it's more of the shaft. That we'll clean up when we get to it. UW22 let me get the, you might be able to see it, I can't. 22/4, and below it says the same thing that the plastic case did right down here. And that's the only piece that shows what this movement is. So this is the only piece I didn't take apart. It's easy enough I wanted to. It also has the this and this, and what I wanted to kind of show here, that this here is the slip clutch, and you can see how far, that's all the farther it goes. When you're leveling it, maybe it needs to go a little bit farther, or I went the wrong way maybe, so you'd bring it back that way. So that's what's nice about having a slip clutch. Not all clocks have them, but when they have them, that makes it a lot nicer. Now, I can't remember for sure, but it seems to me this is a 1-day clock, and so that's again why the spring is so small. Because I have another clock that I do believe is a 1-day too, but I haven't wound it for a while. That would be this clock. The movement was so dirty, and if I have to, I'm going to upload my video so I can see how it goes, but I think this is the way it's going. Now let's try to get this thing on here again. It wouldn't have been a bad thing if I upload my video so I could see how this thing went back together again, because my pictures are showing it was so dirty that you couldn't really see actually where the gears were. Anyway, it took me a little while, but here this shows the gears are turning, doing good. Now I can install this. I think I'm going to put a spot of glue on both sides to hold this thing shut. This here's got some scratches on here. The wax might be able to take care of it, but I normally use the Old English scratch cover to get rid of those. I have several different bottles getting the garage sales. This one here is glass. I don't think they sell glass ones anymore. This here board's a little loose, so I popped that off so I could tighten the screw. There's no screw, it's a staple, so I'll have to snug that staple up. On these clocks, I've never understood their pendulum. They have a spring in there, and I'd almost say never take that spring out, because you're not going to get it back in, and it's awful tight. And this, I'm going to call it lousy nut, and the spring or the threads, they're hard to line up, and when you do get it lined up, that spring will push this nut off its threads. If that does it on this one, I'm going to rip that spring out of there altogether. Like I said, I'm not sure why it's even there. Anyway, let me see what I can do about this sick looking bob. Getting it back together again and trying to clean that up. I'm not going to take it totally apart. This is all dented, and it'd be nice if I could take it apart, but I'll just shine it up the best I can and put her back in there. There's the old, there's the new. Dented up, it looks fine to me. I tried smacking those staples in. It didn't do so hot. Probably should just take them out and use a screw, but I don't have any screws with me, so I glued it on both sides. Now to buff it. I noticed buffing it makes it shine, which you can't do to a cuckoo clock that usually has too many pieces to it. That looks a little better. Now to get the face on. So using the holes, these poinsettias look Christmassy with the clock. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a beautiful night. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I also hope you guys are having a very Merry Christmas. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe because it's free. Give me a thumbs up, and God bless.